From the beginning days of what had become a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, according to survey researchers at the Pew Research Center, while a plurality said it most likely came about naturally, 43%, nearly 3 in 10 had said it most likely came from a laboratory, 29%, with 23% saying it was developed intentionally and 6% saying it was made accidentally. Although it is quite often claimed that science is not political, the political divide during the pandemic was indeed quite prominent, finding by June 2020 reporters at the Washington Post observing that months of discord about the coronavirus epidemic had transformed the cloth mask into a potent political symbol, touted by Democrats as a key part of communal responsibility, labeled by some GOP leaders as a sign of government overreach, and as a scarlet letter pinned on the week, with no discussion regarding the actual effectiveness or even efficaciousness of these medical devices. And this strong partisan division, particularly during an election year, during which many had cast their votes based upon what they had perceived to be the proper response to the pandemic, had quite naturally found a spillover of itself into opinions regarding the origins of the novel coronavirus, with what has been described by scientists as possessing a quite singular etiology. According to survey researchers at the Pew Research Center in March 2020, among Democrats, about half, or 52%, had said the new coronavirus came about quite naturally, but a good deal of uncertainty still existed. Roughly 2 in 10, or 21%, had expressed a belief in human involvement, including 16% who thought it was intentionally made, with the remaining 24% unsure. While on the other side of the political divide, Republicans and conservative Republicans in particular were far more likely than Democrats to assert human involvement in the creation of COVID-19. In fact, as many Republicans, including Republican leaners, said the virus was made in a laboratory and said it came about naturally, 37% for both, with 30% saying it was created intentionally. Conservative Republicans were more likely than moderate or liberal Republicans to say the virus was an intentional human effort, 31% versus 26%. And at least according to the Pew Research Center, by April 2020, 48% of those who believed that it was not a natural evolution and spillover had not even completed college. So, in considering a moral dilemma posed by the two opposing theories that have been offered for the origins of a disease that business reporters at the Wall Street Journal have most recently suggested may have claimed the lives of over 15 million worldwide, more than twice the official reports by the World Health Organization, which still has a figure that exceeds the numbers of people who had died during the Holocaust in half the time, holding the theory most preferred within the scientific community, i.e. a natural evolution and spillover consequent to a collision between humans and some still yet unknown animal reservoir. Let us just focus for now upon those Democrats, roughly 2 in 10 amongst Democrats, or 21%, who had expressed a belief in human involvement, including 16% who thought it was intentionally made, and focus upon those Republicans who were far more likely than the Democrats to assert human involvement in the creation of COVID-19, those 37% of Republicans, including leaners, who had said the virus was made in a laboratory, and those 30% saying it was created intentionally. Let us include within this moral assessment those conservative Republicans who were more likely than moderate or liberal Republicans to say the virus was an intentional human effort, or 31% versus 26%. As we move through this moral dilemma on a hypothetical basis, not claiming either that the virus came from a laboratory or natural spillover, but simply considering the hypothetical, if it were true, that the virus had been intentionally made or had found origin in a laboratory. Assuming a sincerely held belief that the virus had found its origins in a laboratory, these figures then suggest on a moral level, in our hypothetical, that there were 21% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans, 30% of conservatives, who never considered the fact or natural consequence of that thought that had the virus originated in a laboratory for over 3 years, at least a few persons would have to have known the origins. While by the first anniversary of the pandemic declaration, over 527,000 of their fellow Americans had died as a result, and no moral sense of urgency provided sufficient evolutionary pressure in a pandemic to prevent those persons from escaping. Is that a good person or a good reflection on mankind and your humanity? Assuming a sincerely held belief that the virus had found its origins in a laboratory, these figures suggest on a moral level in our hypothetical that there were 21% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans, 30% of conservatives by the first anniversary of the pandemic declaration, who did nothing more than hold a belief and did nothing to avert the outcome of finding more Americans than had died during both world wars, the conflict in Southeast Asia, the terror attacks on 9/11, described by the president as irreplaceable souls. Is that a good person or a good reflection of mankind and your humanity? According to the official figures globally, as of 5 April 2023, there have been 762,201,169 confirmed cases of COVID-19, including 6,889,743 deaths reported to the WHO. According to UNICEF, 17,400 persons below the age of 20, 53% between the ages of 10 and 19, have died from COVID-19, while all the while 21% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans, 30% of conservatives, have said they believed that the origins of the novel coronavirus were to be found in a laboratory created by their fellow mankind. And for 3 years, they did nothing to prevent that outcome, while the persons responsible were permitted to escape. Is that a good person or a good reflection of mankind and your humanity? A recent news report suggests that the latest Fox News national survey finds 62% believe COVID-19 was created by scientists in China, while 33% think it evolved from nature. And they report that that's almost identical to what views were 2 years ago, 60 to 31%, differing slightly from what was reported by Pew Research Center. According to Fox News, some 4 in 10 say the White House is being open and transparent about the origins of the virus, but a majority of 54% thinks the administration is covering it up. including most Republicans, over half of independents, and 1/4 of Democrats. Yet still taking precedence over any moral considerations, partisans haven't budged on how they think the pandemic started. In 2021, about twice as many Republicans, 79%, as Democrats, 41%, believe COVID-19 was created in a lab. And that's still the case today, 82% versus 41%. Among independents, 58% said it started in a lab 2 years ago, and 67% feel that way now. And some continue to suggest that science is not political. According to the Wall Street Journal, more than 3 years after the start of the global pandemic, there has yet to be a comprehensive forensic investigation into its origins. With more than 1 million Americans dead from COVID-19 and an estimated 15 million dead worldwide, that's inexcusable, according to the Wall Street Journal. They report that there are two competing hypotheses. Some believe the novel coronavirus probably escaped from a laboratory in Wuhan. Others maintain the virus first jumped to people from caged animals at a Wuhan seafood market. And at least according to the president, while it was different for everyone, we all lost something. According to the president, we know what we need to do to beat this virus. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I believe it's one of the most ghostly manifestations that I've ever seen. Whether it's real or simply conjecture, one of those things that people seeking to find some mystery to fool themselves into believing, but with some other perfectly rational cause and explanation, is a question that only you can answer with your capacity for reason, which often involves research and study, not simply guessing. Impossible. So with Xeroxing and holography, just like a few short years ago, this was almost impossible. In fact, there were videotape replays, like the ones you're watching right now. People have been proclaiming the marvels of science for thousands of years. And maybe one day, we will finally discover the origins of this novel coronavirus. What a tremendous gain that would be for actual science. And what a tragic loss for storytelling.
This message was approved by Major Mike Webb.